Greetings, beautiful people. Welcome to week 14. Can you believe we only have 3 weeks left of this semester? So we have talked about social thinking, and that was part 1. You had several chapters. Then we talked about social influence. That was part 2. You had several chapters. And now we're moving into part 3, social relations. So this week in particular, you're going to learn a little bit about prejudice and also about helping. So prejudice is a judgment. It's a thought. And it's basically like in your mind, you already have some ideas and you're basically believing those ideas. But you're going to read all about prejudice in your textbook. And then you're going to read a little bit about helping. And this is pro-social behavior. Things you do that are not necessarily benefiting you. Sometimes they do, but usually it's for the benefit of another person. All right, so this Tuesday, so that's tomorrow, our test 2 closes. And the reason why test 2 stayed open a little bit longer is because I didn't post it on Monday. I didn't post it till Tuesday or Wednesday. So I gave you guys a couple of extra days to get it done in case you needed it. If you still have questions about test 2, you're welcome to respond to the test 2 questions thread and post a question, and I will answer it to the best of my ability. Also today, Monday, the 12th, the extra credit is due. Now this extra credit is worth 10 points, and I strongly encourage you to do it because if you do the extra credit, there are multiple benefits. 1, it helps you to study for the test. 2, you get to learn the information or reinforce what you already know or figure out what you don't know. And 3, you get bonus points added directly to your test. So that's like a win-win-win. So you should totally do the extra credit. All right, so Monday and Tuesday, you're basically, if you haven't finished up social influence, you're going to get that done. But on Wednesday, that's when our last discussion is due, and this is D9. So you're going to make initial post on Wednesday, and then you'll respond to 2 classmates by Friday. And I think most of you have been doing a really good job of doing, contributing in a substantive way. But just to be clear, if you get on the discussion board and you give me a 2 or 3 line, I agree or I disagree with a classmate, that's not a substantive post. That does you no good. It does me no good. It does your classmates no good. Go ahead and put some sauce on it. Go ahead and tell us what you think, and go ahead and share some information that you gathered from reading your course textbook, from watching TED Talks, or reading an academic article, or learning something from another class, or even give a real life example, right? So this is our last discussion, so kind of finish up strong. Now, the only other thing I want to talk about in this short video is group project 2. Now, we are in a social psychology class, and I've already talked about the benefit of working with others on many occasions, but I just want to reiterate that developing skill with people is something that's going to benefit you in your everyday life, in your personal relationships, and in your professional life. So use this group project as an opportunity to build those skills, learning what your strengths are, what your challenges are, learning how to deal with different personalities, right? Maybe you don't have anybody in the group who has stepped up to be a leader. You go ahead and fill that role this time. But you might be thinking, well, I don't know who I'm working with. Okay, if you haven't already told me who you're working with, I took the liberty of going ahead and creating groups, and I made folders for you in Canvas. So if you go from the home page, click on People, and then click on Group Project 2, you'll see your members who I've assigned you. If you don't want to work with those individuals, that's perfectly fine. Just let me know by the end of this week. If your group has already let me know who's working together, then I've arranged the groups based on what you told me in the group project thread. So with this second group project, it's very similar to the first group project. It's worth 100 points. Okay, so that's a good, it's a good amount of points. And I'm looking for how creative you are, how accurate the information you gathered, is. I'm looking for a polished presentation. All right, I really want to see a project that's, top notch. And I was really impressed with those first projects. So I think these second projects will be even better. But take a look at the agenda that I posted this week. And in the agenda, you'll see that it's just 2 simple pages. Page 1 is just reminding you of the week that we're on and what's due. And then on page 2, I've cut and pasted I've shared a copy of the rubric in case you forgot what it looked like from the first project. But you'll notice that I'm looking at, how thoroughly you discuss the topic, how clear you present the information. I'm looking for accuracy. I'm looking for conciseness and creativity. And I'm also looking at how you collaborated. So one tip I want to stress is that you really want to use in-text citations. Okay, so on your slides somewhere, discreetly, you need to let me know where you got that information. So you want to use in-text citations throughout the presentation. All right. You also want to use speaker's notes. Don't have a million words on your slide. That's not going to fly for this second project. Go ahead and use speaker's notes. If you don't want to use speaker's notes, create a Word document and, type slide 1 and then put what you would say on slide 1. Slide 2, what you would say. Okay, so you can either create a Word document, you can use speaker's notes, or if you don't want to do either of those, you can do voiceover, right? You can just go ahead in PowerPoint and do a voiceover. I'm not going to tell you exactly how to do voiceover. You can Google that. There's tons of YouTube videos. There's tutorials. If you want to do a voiceover, that's fine. All right, so in-text citations, make sure you have the speaker's notes. And then make sure you have a reference slide. Your last few slides, you could have a final slide that says thank you or, conclusion or whatever. But you definitely want to have some reference slides. So in the in-text citations, you're just giving me a little bit of information so I know which source. But in the reference list, now you're giving me all the details of those sources. You're not doing an annotated bibliography. You're just doing a reference list. And you should use APA style. If you want it to be, top-notch, exemplary, use APA style. Now, I'm not going to be super picky. So if you don't use APA style, you're not necessarily going to be marked off, but you're not going to get the maximum points. So 15 slides is the minimum. And if you have just 2 people, then, that's probably all you're going to be able to muster up. But if you have like 5 or 6 people and you need to do 20 or 25 slides, that's okay. But really, you're thinking about the equivalent of a 15-minute presentation. What you don't want to have is like 40 slides. No, that means you didn't narrow your topic enough. Your slides should not be cluttered, and it should be creative. So that's my tips for the group project. If you have questions, I do have office hours Monday through Friday, and I'm available to set up a Zoom. If you don't want to meet me via Zoom, you're welcome to just post a question to the questions thread or email me, and I'll respond back in 24 to 48 hours, Monday through Friday. I think that's pretty much all I have to say. All right, have a good week.